Hey, Dave. Max was just on here a minute ago. He was leading all National League first basemen in all-star votes through Sunday. Um, and yet here we are, we're celebrating the bobblehead moment from like 2 years ago. And I'm just wondering, with all that's changed in his life, getting the contract, about to become a dad, leading the all-star game in first baseman votes, has he changed? Like, is he the same guy that he was when he first showed up in the Dodger clubhouse?
He is. He is. I think that he was raised really well. Plays the game, loves to compete, the toughness, and that hasn't changed. I think that the notoriety, being more of a household name, I think that has certainly changed, and that's an adjustment for any player. But he just wants to go out there and help us win baseball games, and that's what I love and respect about him. And it is good to see guys like that were one day hitting with their dad in the garage, not with the team, and trying to figure it out and see if I'm going to ever get this opportunity. And now he's a perennial all-star, leading, National League first baseman in votes by fans. So certainly a lot of credit goes to Max, and his journey is a pretty unique and special one.
Max was talking about the need to be forthright when dealing with some of the injuries that he's dealt with this season. And I'm wondering how that communication has been between the two of you as far as giving him time off when he needs. And have you had to plan, like, sort of bake in some days off or some innings off for him this season?
Yeah, I think it just goes to just the relationship that we have. And, for a player to understand that being forthright and sharing when I don't feel great, where I might need a day to help us, later on this season, it's helpful for me. It's helpful for his teammates. And I think that we have that relationship, which is great. And for me as a manager, I'd love to pencil him in there every single day and know that we're better when he's in the lineup. But you're still trying to win a game, but also trying to manage a player and do what's best for him and also the ball club. So that's the balance. But the communication that we have certainly makes it a lot easier to kind of navigate.
Last one for me. Any news on the Corey Seager front? And will he be traveling with you on the road trip?
No news right now. We're still kind of deciding, JP, on the travel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next question is from Kirsten Watson. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave. I know last night we kind of talked about just the success that last night with the home runs, 3, of course. You had mentioned the weather and it just heating up, but is there anything that you've been seeing? So, because in the last 4 games, 15 of the 19 run scores were off of home runs. And so I'm interested to see if there's anything you've been seeing, whether it's from the hitting coaches, kind of what players have been working on, just from your viewpoint as to why there's so much success with home runs right now.
I don't know. I think as far as each individual guy and as an offense, it's game to game, hitter to pitcher kind of dependent. I know guys are just trying to square the baseball up and elevate. A lot of it has to do with pitchers not executing, and that's on our side too. When we don't execute and guys put good swings on, they have a tendency to go out of the ballpark. So I do know this guy tonight, it's tough to elevate, tough to hit him out of the ballpark. So we have our hands full with Gausman. But I like base runners any way we can get them, but certainly homers are very helpful.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Next question's from Fabiana Adaya. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, sort of on that with Gausman, I mean, where does that splitter sort of rank among the more like difficult individual pitches that you guys sort of see over the course of the year?
I think whether it's the Scherzer slider, the Darvish slider, the split from Gausman, the Woodruff fastball, the Burns cutter, obviously not even counting our guys, but that's up there with the best as far as a certain pitch that's elite. It's just tough to manage.
And then just sort of going off of what we talked about last night with Kenley going with 3 straight sliders to Posey, I mean, how much did sort of developing that slider and also the 2-seam, How much is that helping him now, especially as his stuff has sort of bounced back like it has?
It's helped him incredibly. And I think it's just more of allowing more margin for error with the cut fastball. So to have something boring in on the right-hander or running away from the left-hander with the two-seamer, or to kind of front back a guy with the slider is important. And he is primarily going to throw his cutter. But again, just getting another thought so guys just don't hunt a certain location and a certain pitch characteristic is only going to make him better. So to Posey, they've had a lot of interactions. So you got to kind of mix it up. And I'll be willing to bet he doesn't throw them 3 straight sliders next time they see each other.
Next question's from Dylan Hernandez. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave. Sticking on the subject of Kenley, how do you kind of explain how the stuff has just kind of bounced back?
Hard work from Kenley. Brandon McDaniel has done a great job with the body and doing a lot more fast twitch stuff, a lot of quick firing things with his body. The conditioning, the weight, everything is kind of right where it needs to be. Also, the pitching guys have worked on kind of making sure the delivery, if you see the delivery, it's a little bit more quick and allowing his arm or forcing his arm to catch up and to work faster. I think that's helped. But, you know, most of credit, all the credit goes to Kenley. He's put in a lot of work.
You know, the last couple of years, he's expressed some frustration, I think, with, you know, there have been times, you know, he comes into a game and say the crowd, you know, you can tell they're not, you know, particularly enthusiastic. Sometimes they even booed. It feels like, again, that, you know, this is kind of we're back in like 17 or 16 when the crowd, right, he comes in now. It's a kind of a celebratory occasion. What kind of effect have you seen that have on him?
It affects him. I think that this guy was raised a Dodger, you know. He does a lot of stuff in the community. He cares about the Dodgers. And when you're at home and you're there to close a game out and you're booed, or you don't close the game out and you're booed, that hurts. I mean, he cares. So, you know, just because he's a ball player doesn't mean he doesn't have emotions. But with that, you know, players have the right to voice their opinions, certainly. But to your question, yeah, it affected him. And sometimes you use it as fire. But I think that he'll take the applause and cheers anytime, and he'll welcome them going forward.
And how about, you know, in the clubhouse? Obviously, we haven't been able to be in there for the last couple of years. He's always been one of the bigger personalities in there. And you kind of see, again, when things are going well, things aren't. You know, there's a little bit shift in kind of the, you know, how colorful he is, so to speak, in the room. Have you noticed any change there?
There was a lot of chipperness until the Lakers got eliminated. So after that, he quieted down. But outside of that, he's been pretty consistent.
Next question is from Mike DiGiovanna. Go ahead.
Hey, Dylan was muted. Dave, going back to Max.
That's not a bad thing, Mike.
No comment. The day Max told Mad Bun to go get it out of the ocean, he said he's always played with that kind of fire, and that might have been the first time a lot of other people saw it. Do you recall that at the time? Did you kind of like do a little double take, like, dang, this guy's got a different level here?
I did, you know, because Bum obviously respected by everyone in baseball, and Max took a great at bat, hit a homer, and, you know, admired it. I don't think too long, and you know, Bum had some words for him, and I think it was to, you know, get his guys fired up, which I get, and to hear the go get it out of the ocean. I've never heard that one. It was a quick response. And I love the fire, and I do know Max as a fiery player. And, you know, we have a lot of guys that are kind of stoic, some guys that are more outgoing and more jovial, excitable, but Max just kind of plays with an edge, and love it.
Do you think it's important for a young guy like him at the time to show he's not going to be intimidated?
I do. I do. And he was young as far as service time, and you can't back down from a guy like Bumgarner because, truth be told, he tries to intimidate you, and that's part of kind of the mystique. But Max is not going to be intimidated.
Last one's from Eric Steven. Go ahead.
Dave, just wondering, you were on both sides of Dodgers Giants as a player and, been here for a number of years as a manager. Where does this year rank in terms of like competitiveness or just the rivalry in general or quality of play between both teams?
I remember playing for the Dodgers early 2000s, and when Barry was with the Giants, it was pretty intense. Both teams kind of always going for the division. I think that over the last few years, there's been some kind of fallback, but the way that the Giants have been playing and kind of building a lot of momentum, and I think that this year it's only going to get more so as the season progresses. So it's been a lot of fun for our players. I know our fans really enjoy it. And I mean, it's one of the great rivalries in sports.